Hi, this is Bruce Buffer, and you're listening to the Brats and Beard Podcast.
Hello, tailgaters. Welcome back to the Brats and Beers podcast. We're excited to bring you another incredible interview guest today. We have a former NFL wide receiver who was originally drafted by the Tennessee Oilers in 1998, later to become the Tennessee Titans. He was the player that scored on what has been famously labeled the Music City Miracle, and he racked up a total of over 2,300 yards and 18 touchdowns during his entire career with the Titans, Panthers, Chargers, and Redskins. Tailgaters, please help me welcome one of my all-time favorite Titans players to the show, Kevin Dyson.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Thank you so much for joining us, Kevin. We appreciate you being here. And obviously, I'm a huge fan. I grew up kind of in that lovely heyday of the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they're not doing too bad right now, but that whole Dyson, McNair era was the best. I loved growing up during that part. So,
can we reshoot that introduction, because I don't think you put enough respect on his name. you forgot something right there. You forgot Doctor.
Hey, we'll get to that. We'll get to the rest of the resume.
I appreciate that, Dan. I appreciate that, brother.
Hey, I think that's more important than former NFL wide receiver to me. So
yeah.
True.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I appreciate y'all inviting me, man. Good to talk football, chop it up. We can talk education whenever you want to, man.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's hard to believe that team you mentioned, that's 20-plus years ago.
It's crazy.
The Oilers. People forgot we were the Oilers at one point or another at this point now, you know?
Yep.
But man, appreciate you having me.
It's crazy. Well, thank you. Do you still watch a lot of NFL games? Are you still like a Titans fan, or like who are you cheering for if you're watching?
Well, I do a pre and post game show with the Titans on Titan Radio. So I obviously I pay a lot of attention to what they're doing. This is about the time of year I start getting more invested in it. You know, I glimpse at the offseason moves, but of course after the draft you kind of see who the new faces are. Whether it be free agents or, of course, the draft, and you start paying attention to kind of puzzle pieces that you think they might fall as far as roster is concerned. And then, you know, I get into the preseason and, you know, I do a pre and a post game show. So, you know, obviously I still pay attention to them and call me a fan. You call me a fan if you want to, but I'm a fan of the game, you know, so whatever's on. And then, of course, certain players that you enjoy watching more than others. So I try to make sure I catch them. And I'm a fan of anybody. It's the Titans, but I'm more of a fan of the game.
Okay. Any specific players that you really enjoy watching, or?
Oh, I love the Cheetah and my homies, man. I love watching their chemistry, and I think Kelsey as a tight end, that threesome is very special. I still like to watch Tom Brady and of course Drew Brees till he retires. Some of the old school guys that were around when I played. And just watching them, how they progressed and had longevity in their careers. I love just seeing what they can do still at a high level. You know, there's a couple of young guys. Saquon Barkley is somebody I love watching. I think he's kind of a throwback he's kind of got that LT feel. He can catch the ball. He can run. He's powerful. He's a 1,000 guy. You know, he can get 1,000-yard receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. I like Beckham, OBJ. I like him. I think his chip on his shoulder, where he plays the game, I appreciate his game. And some of the old school guys, you know, I'm trying to think, man. There's so many guys. I like Larry Fitzgerald. Much respect for him and what he's accomplished and what he's doing. Julio Jones, one of my favorites all time to watch play, big, fast receiver. There's several people and a couple of young guys coming up. A lot of Alabama receivers. I just love them. They're so efficient in the way they run their routes. Yeah. Great mechanics, great just ability to run route speed, getting in and out of cuts. So, you know, I got my guys I like to watch. And, you know, there's a lot of talented people out there as well.
I like it. Well, what do you think of Caleb Farley in the draft there?
You know, I like the pick. I think the way the league is going, you got a big corner that can run, who can move well. Sometimes you get big corners, they're not very agile. And he's got some great agility, and I think potentially he can be a very good pick. Now, health is that concern, but that's the concern when you play in the NFL anyways. Health, nobody's ever at 100%. So, you hope that, being able, this being your full-time job, he'll get in the ears of some of the veterans and talk to them and ask them, how do I take care of my body for the long haul? That's something you learn over some time, like what works for you, but you gain some advice from guys that have done it before. And I hope he seeks that out, and I hope guys share with him, man. This was things that has helped me continue with that longevity and help with the injury so he can be on the field. I was unfortunate. My injuries weren't nagging. My injuries were career threatening, and ultimately it did end my career early. So, that you can't control, but the ones with sprained ankle, hamstrings, things of that nature, those things you can treat, make sure you're taking care of your body before those injuries. That's where he needs to get in the ears of some of these veterans and knowing how to pace yourself through the season. That sounds crazy when you talk about pacing yourself. And it's just a matter of knowing when to go hard, knowing when to turn it off. And everybody goes hard practice 100% all the time, but there's certain times where you're full out playoff football mode, even in practice, and knowing when to do that and how to rest your body. And that's a skill he'll learn in the National Football League.
Okay. When you were playing, did you have a team that you either hated playing against or even like a cornerback that you hated matching up against? Or
I tell you what, the Baltimore Ravens defense back in the late 90s, early 2000s was as good as it gets. I can tell you after my rookie year, we were the Oilers, as you mentioned, and people would ask me who's the toughest team you played against. And we played them twice, right? They were in the same division at the time. I said the Baltimore Ravens. And I think they were 6-10 that year. And we were 8-8. And they're like, the Baltimore Ravens would say, yes, that team is real. At least for defense purposes. That was the realest defense I ever seen in my life. All the way around. Corners were physical. They were tough. Dwayne Starks, Deron Jenkins. They had Rod Woodson in the secondary. Then they had Bolware. They had a defense. Of course, Ray Lewis. How can I forget him? That defense was unreal. They were fast, physical. They were aggressive. They were smart. They knew your tendencies. They went against them. It was all-out battle. And so that was one of those teams. And I think there was a lot of corners, not that they scared me or I feared them. You knew you had to amp it up a little bit. Aeneas Williams, Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey, Shawn Springs, Aaron Glenn. Like, I can go on and on, but you knew you're going to battle, man. And it was a challenge every week. Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain at the Miami corners, both of them were good. So, man, it was just every week you had to come with it. That's the crazy part about the NFL, man. Now, truth be told, the first two corners, is going to be a battle. A lot of times that third guy is the third guy for a reason, and if you get him on, you better take advantage. And so, but there were some guys, man, truly some epic battles in my opinion.
Okay.
Do you feel that with the way the league is nowadays and how, offensive protective it is, how different your game would have been if you would have played in today's NFL?
I was just talking to Michael Irvin about this last week, a week ago today, last Friday. I was talking to Michael Irvin, and we both were just, man, can you imagine? First of all, you catch 30 balls, you're going to make $10 million a year. That's one. Two, they can't touch you. You can't be physical with you. Can't touch you down the field. You get a penalty. So they give you all flexibility. Now you go across the middle. Ain't that fear of getting your head knocked off as much. There's still that little bit of that fear, obviously, but it's not as much as it used to be because you can't take that big old headshot. I was joking with him, man. I said, man, I was born 10 years too early. I was born in 1975. Let me be born in 1985, 1990, and I could play in this game that they're playing in right now, man, because – truth be told, man, again, everybody had to pave the way. The Michael Irvins of the world, as I mentioned, Jerry Rice of the world, and even before them, guys had paved the way so guys can make more money. So my group, my era, you're talking about T.O., Randy Moss, and Hines Ward. And I can go on and on with my era, Marvin Harrison. They kind of paved the way for what it is right now. And the guys are making a lot of money. It's a passing league. People putting the ball in the air 40, 50 times in a game. Aaron Rodgers and guys are just throwing the football around. And, it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, it is. But as a former receiver who's saying that, who played in an offense where it was Eddie on first down, Eddie on second down, throw to Frank Wycheck on third down, you kind of wish you had that luxury of going out there and knowing the ball's coming to you 10, 15 times a game.
I I don't want to bring this up, but I do want to bring it up just because.
Here you go. I already know where you're going.
It's too soon for this. It's too soon.
It is too soon. I still think about it all the time, and my brother gives me shit every time because he's a Bronco.
Wait. If we're gonna do it, you got to do it right, though. If we're gonna go with the playoffs, let's talk about.
Yeah,
first.
We got to talk first. There's 2 plays I guess we can discuss. I mean, who's a better quarterback? I mean, is it Steve McNair or is it Frank Wycheck? Because he really hooked you up on that Music City Miracle. I don't know.
Frankie, man, for what that play was, that ball was perfect. I just met a Bills fan who the other day, and we were just talking casually. He was talking about the play, and he kind of slid in there. It was a forward pass. Just casual with it, I was like, nah, man, it was a lateral. I said, go look at the video, So, it was a fun experience, and found out years later. Literally, it was about 4 years ago. Me, Frank Wycheck, and Lorenzo Neal were kind of talking about the play, and Lorenzo Neal. I found this out at that time. It was probably been 16, 17 years after the fact. And he said, I told Frank, they're going to kick me the ball. Come get it from me. Like, he ordained it. Like, he just knew.
Wow.
And sure enough, he catches it. He gives it to Frank, and then it happens. And it didn't happen how it was designed. But, finding out I keep finding out little bits about the play myself. Over the years, I've found out some things and what people were doing, what they were thinking. So it's been a fun thing to talk about for 20 years.
At what point I'm sorry. What Anthony?
I was gonna ask, in practice, you guys go over special teams and situational plays like that. How much time went into that play specifically?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I was never a part of it. I was one of the players, but I had 1 foot outside, 1 foot in the locker room ready to go. It's in the practice, right? So I wasn't even part of that equation. But we worked on it literally from the preseason all up until the moment we ran it every Saturday, every day before the game. That was kind of like our post practice. Here's our situational stuff. Jeff Fisher was a preparer, so he always would do situational football at the end of our Saturday practices, Saturday walkthroughs. Backed up punt, onside kick, got to win plays. We need a first down in 3 plays. Here are the 3 plays we're going to run. We got to get a first down. We need 30 yards to get it. Here's the plays we're going to run. Like, he was an over-preparer, which it bode well in a lot of situations. And I took it with me as a head coach myself when I became a head football coach. And so that was one of those things where at practice, we're like, man, we're never going to run this mess. You're tired of looking at it, but you watch it. But I wasn't watching the details of it. So I knew the gist of the play. And so they would run it 3, maybe 4 different ways where, they squib it, they botch it, they kick it to 3 or 4 different guys. But at the end of the result, you're trying to get into a certain position. Once the ball went in the air, I think that put us in a pretty favorable position. I think it initially got Buffalo out of position. I think they played it like we're going to fair catch it almost. And once their safety went towards the football, which was Frank Wycheck, there was nobody back there to stop me. So how the place was designed, how it was explained to me as I'm running off to the field was, hey, they're going to squib this kick. They're going to squib it to Frank. He's going to get it. He's going to run, try to attract the defense, attract the kicking team. They're going to lateral it to Isaac Byrd, who was put in position 1 because of because Derek Mason was taken out. So let me go back. The irony of all that is I started cramping up midway through the 3rd quarter. I was getting cramps. So I had to go in and get an IV. It's wild because I was cramping up. Well, while that was happening, it was right towards the end of the 3rd quarter. Derek Mason was punt returning and got hit. He got concussed, so he couldn't play anymore. And so that moved Anthony Dorsett Jr. into the kick return spot number 2. Well, at the end of the game, he was cramping up and couldn't run. So look at the irony here. I went and got IVs at the time. Derek Mason was getting concussed, and his backup couldn't even finish the game because he was cramping up. So they moved me in, who had never practiced it, who hadn't returned a kick since college. And so they moved me in, and they say, hey, here we're going to run home run throwback. They're going to scoop it to Frank. They're going to lateral it to Isaac Byrd. You get behind him, get in pitch relationship. He's going to get what he can. If he gets in trouble, he's going to pitch it to you. You get what you can't get out of bounds. That was what and it's about that speed, right? Because it's about to happen. Here we go. And the ball kicks in the air, and I see Isaac Byrd come up, and I'm like, oh, snap. So I just instincts, and coaches will always tell you, at some point, football players got to be a football player. We got all these plays, designs. You go 10 yards, turn here, do this, you do that. At some point, you got to be a football player, and instincts kick in. and it just kicked in. I saw the ball in the air. I stepped back. I caught it, and I ran. And for a brief moment, I thought, get out of bounds, because that was in my head, right? Get out of bounds. I saw Doug Christie fall down. I'm like, oh, snap, I'm about to score. And I scored, man, and history was made, man. And, I look back on it now. I don't even watch myself run. I watch the fans. I watch the sidelines. I watch the reaction to everybody else in that moment of disbelief, man. It's remarkable. Even if I wasn't a part of it, man, it would be something that I think I would appreciate even still. I still it's kind of surreal that it's me when I watch it, because it's just such a monumental moment,
Yeah. Every time I watch it, it's just like, I always wondered, like, when you knew you were going to score. I was like, did you know the whole time? It just looks almost effortless, like so easy at the time, but obviously it's not.
Yeah. What sucks is D. Hay was special teams coach. He lost his job on that, and that ended up getting Wade Phillips fired. You know why? Because Wade Phillips would not fire his special teams coach off of one play from his players not being disciplined and staying in their kick lanes. That's not special teams coach's fault. That's the player's fault.
Yeah.
But coaches get the blame for a situation like that because players didn't do their job. And kudos to Wade Phillips, man. He stood by his guy, and he said, man, if you fire him, you got to fire me. And Buffalo said, all right. And unfortunately, man, so I've got an immense amount of respect for Wade Phillips for that in this day and era where it's me. He was an ultimate team guy, and he had a sacrificial lamb. He could have easily put him on the chopping block and rolled it out, because he was doing well as a head coach, especially there. And no, man, he decided, man, look, it's not just his fault; it's everybody's fault, and he went on the chopping block with him.
Damn. That's awesome. I guess I didn't know that story, but that's really cool to know. But we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But there was that second play that we were going to ask about. It was the heartbreak of my childhood. I'm sure you being involved in the play, in the infamous tackle, I guess they call it.
I call it 1 yard short. I don't call it the tackle.
Yeah. Did you have it? Do you get asked this a lot? Like, what are your? Do you still think about it? Like, what kind of goes through your head when this comes up?
Well, you got to take the good with the bad, man. Life is not just peaches and cream, man. There's rainy days for a reason. That's how you grow. So I tell you like this: the irony of both of these plays is, me say a miracle. I wasn't initially part of the equation. I wasn't supposed to be out there. And the coming up a yard short was a play design where I'm in the progression and I have the ball in hands and it comes my way and I come up short. And it just shows you how life is. It shows you how football is, and just the parallels to, everything can go wrong and end up right, but things can line up right and still fail. And that was ultimately, man, what happened. Here I am on this play where it designed to come my direction. And, the play Z-Sliver was, we knew they run a kind of what we call a triangle, one guy up top, and they had one guy inside the number 2 receiver, which was Frank Wycheck, one guy outside of me, which was Dexter McLean. And we're going to force the number 2 defender, which was Mike Jones, and Lester Lyle, I think, was a safety at the time. We're going to force them to make a decision. So Frank runs a vertical, and knowing that Mike Jones has to cover him for an extended period of time, which if he doesn't, you throw it right where he should be and get Frank getting the ball. So Frank's first read. Well, the safety doesn't have to drop as far because we're on the 10-yard line. He doesn't have to sink as far, so he squats in the end zone. And now the linebacker, knowing he doesn't have to carry Frank as far, can come off on me a lot earlier. So once he saw me break, he breaks off of Frank, knowing he's got help over top of him with the safety, and he comes off of me, and lo and behold, he makes a great play. So, it was a great design. We ran it earlier, and not earlier that game, in the game before. We played them on Halloween earlier in the year, and it worked for big money. And so they had some things for it too. And but kudos to Mike, man. He made a great play. One thing I'll say, man, we scrimmaged them in Missouri the following season, and I was amped up, man. It was redemption time. It was, even though it was scrimmages and a preseason game, I was amped up, right? I wanted to get that yard back, and it didn't even count. And but we did a thing with Stuart Scott for ESPN, and Man, he was as humble as he can be, man. And that what made me feel better about the whole situation, man. That was when I let go. I had so much anger and like I had to get back to that moment. And I think when I heard him talk about how, man, it could have easily gone this way, man. His momentum brought my body around, so I was able to get my left hand on his thigh so he couldn't extend. Like, he was humble about the whole situation. And I was like, man, let me let this go. And it was a good football play.
Yeah.
It was a good football play, man, and it is what it is. And I'm fortunate and unfortunate to be a part of it. And there's a lot of players that played with me before me and have played after me that hadn't even had an opportunity to get there. So, like I said, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you also have one of the most impressive resumes that I've ever seen for an athlete outside of sports. You got a bachelor's degree from Utah, 2 master's degrees, doctorate, and you recently became the principal of a high school. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm still working as a principal of a middle school. And,
middle school? Okay.
No. I'm at a high school. I'm about to be at a high school. So,
okay.
They pulled me from the middle school to a high school that they want to, make some changes and make some moves at. And, one of the things is, I guess when you do good work, people try to pull you. And the superintendent and assistant superintendent thought that I could be that force to make a change in a building. And, and I appreciate the opportunity. I think if you, based on what the situation potentially is, if they're coming after you, they're asking me to fill that role, and they feel that strongly that I am the one to make it happen. I was like, I got to change. And so I'm leaving the job that I'm comfortable in at Grassland Middle School that I've grown to love, and I'm moving to a high school that's not too far from here.
That's awesome.
From middle school. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. When did you feel education was important? Because sometimes you talk to some of these players and they say, what's your major? And they say eligibility.
Real talk. That, that's real, man. Like, I tell you a story. When I was a kid, man, my mom, she wouldn't let me play sports unless we had a B average, right? And I think it was 6th grade year, right after the first semester, I got like 3 Ds, a C, and an A, and something. You know what I mean? It was real bad. Of course, my A was PE, right? And I had like a 1.6 or 1.16. It was something terrible. And my mom took basketball away from me. Well, I had already told my mom earlier that year that, we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, single mom. I'm the oldest. And I told her, hey, I'm going pro. I'm going to the NBA and I'm going to buy you a house. That was my ultimate dream, right? I'm going to buy you a house once I get to the NBA. Well, she took basketball away. I'm like, Mom, how can I buy you a house? You taking basketball? She's like, nope, you're not playing. I said, please, please, please. So I'm crying, begging, pleading. And she was like, no, you're not playing. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to the league. We need a house, right? And her whole thing was with that, man, I'm not raising any dummies. You got to get your education. And then, shortly thereafter, she brought home some statistics. And to this day, I don't know where she got these. This is pre-internet. This is pre-Google, And she had the statistical probabilities of each major sport in America of making it. 1 in a million, 1 in 2 million, 1 in 3 million, wherever those numbers were. I don't even remember what they were at that time in 1987, I think this is, 86, 87. And put in perspective. And I look back on it, I don't think she was discouraging me from pursuing my dream. I think she just wanted me to have realistic expectations and realize you still got steps to go. You still got to do A, B, C, D, and E. You can't just not go to school and think you're going to the NBA, because what if you get hurt? What if it doesn't work out? What do you have to fall through? And so I don't think I appreciated that as much until I retired. And when I retired, I was 30 years old, retired from the NFL. I was 30 years old. And what do you do now? I knew I wanted to be around the game. I knew I wanted to help, whether it be kids or pros. I didn't know which way. Was I about that life, that professional coaching life? So I sought some opportunities. I found out coaching in college and pro is a lot political. It's about who you know. And if you haven't coached with certain people, they're not going to give you a chance, even if you have a name, because they don't think you can do it or you're going to put the work in to do it. But if my buddy was already coaching, he probably would have brought me on, so it was a lot of that. So I settled in on secondary education, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed coaching. I enjoyed seeing kids get that aha moment. Like, dang, I'm a good teacher when it comes to this. So I decided, man, I'm going to kind of settle in on this. but I wanted to get better. I just, I didn't know anything about the educational world. Last time I had been to school, I graduated high school in 1993. This is 2005 at this point, right? So I didn't know anything about it. So I went in, I started, looking into what I potentially want to do. I said, well, I like to be an athletic director. I knew business, I knew sports. I said, I want to be an athletic director and a coach. So what does that take? So I drew up like this whole business plan or job description and took it to the school I was at. And they were like, well, we like it, good idea, but we don't have anything like that right now. But we'll be in touch. Well, in the meantime, I was playing softball, one of the things, just try to stay active. And a couple of buddies that were on the team were both in education, both in school administration, and they kind of gave me a blueprint of what I needed to do. And I basically, man, I knew opportunities were going to happen. And I felt like if I was going to be getting opportunities, I needed to be qualified so I was justified. And what I mean by that is I didn't have the education. I didn't have the background. I was 30 years old where people started at 22, 23, had already these experiences. And I understand doors are going to open for me a lot sooner than most because of my name, that I wanted to go get qualified. So I went back and took the GRE and passed it, got into grad school. How I passed it, I had no idea. I just remember certain things. I don't know. I passed it though, got into grad school. And I remember my first class, Dr. George Kersey, he goes, all right, here's the syllabus. You're going to have to do an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to have to do a PowerPoint, and it got to be on Word document in Times Roman 12 font. And I had no idea what any of that was. Nothing. Because Word had just really started in like 98. You know what I mean? I had no idea. I never needed it. And so I'm looking in there. I'm in there. There's other adults who are in education, and even some older than me, and there was kids younger than me. And here I am, the football player, and everybody knows me. And they're looking at me. I just gotten done playing, right? I'm fresh out the league, and they're looking at me, and I'm playing it cool, like I know what he's talking about. I had no clue. I went home, looked at my computer. I had WordPad, and I typed I typed work on there, and they let it go through. I figured it out. I finally went down to, I think, I forget where I went. Where did I go? Anyway, I went somewhere, and I bought the WordPerfect download and the Word download and Outlook and everything, and finally got that on my computer at home, and then I learned in my lesson, man. So I got my first master's degrees. It was just to learn basically in leadership, because I thought I wanted to be an athletic director. But after I did that, I ended up, like I said, I went to them talking about job position in athletics and administration, and I didn't look back on it, I wasn't qualified, but I needed some experience. And like I said, a couple of buddies were playing softball with, said, here's your blueprint. And then I went and worked in public school. And then you get to public school, you got to be certified to teach. So I went back to school again, got my teaching license so I could teach, and then became a teacher and athletic director and a head football coach. And then, another challenge came up. So you won't go in administration. You got your administrator license, so let's go. And I went and got to the administration, and I found out through the NFL, they will scholarship certain athletes based on application. And I ran out of excuses to not go get my doctorate, and I challenged it. Greatest thing I ever did, man. It's one of my greatest accomplishments. One of the things I'm the most proud of.
As you should be.
Yeah, you should. Definitely. I went and got my master's degree, and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I was like, I don't even think I could go get my doctorate. So props to you, man.
Yeah, a lot of late nights, man. And you talking about, man, like I said, I have been out of school for a long time.
Yeah.
I graduated high school in 1993. Graduated college in 97. Excuse me. I graduated college in 97. I got my first master's in 2007.
Wow.
So and you think how fast technology grows in that time frame. And that's a 10-year span, So it was an interesting learning curve, man. But I tell you what, that's one thing I can use with people now and kids, man. Just never stop growing, never stop learning, because that's the way of life, man. You got to continue to grow and try to reinvent yourself and get better.
Definitely. Well, also, I believe you have a podcast too, right? You're starting up right now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. You can see the backdrop behind. That's the name of it.
Three the Pro Way, right?
Three the Pro Way, and and what we're talking about right now is kind of the premise behind the podcast, man. We're talking about people that have changed careers and this and that, and have found success and failures, and what they've learned from them. We kind of take people chronologically to through certain guests' life. Because I think, like, for instance, we just did a pod with Eddie George, and I think a lot of people will be surprised by the experiences he had as a young man that has led to who he is today. Because I think people just tend to focus on the successes and not the drive, not the ambition, not the perseverance, not the grit that it takes to get to that point. And that's kind of the premise behind it. And, after I did a article with Sports Illustrated, and they were talking about me getting my doctorate and things of that nature and being successful this side of life, in conversations, it just seemed to kind of resonate with me. Like, you know what? Let me tell other people's stories. It's not just my story. And so, we're working out some things. We're going to start releasing these pretty soon. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I enjoy it, man. That's why, when you reached out to me and for this, I was like, man, absolutely, because I understand how that is to communicate with somebody cold like that and get them to come join your show. It's just a matter of lining up schedules and things like that. But that, here I am reaching out to people I hadn't talked to in years or people I had never talked to and say, hey, you want to come on my pod? And, some people have been gracious enough and some haven't. And it's just one of those things. And so, man, I didn't know how much I'd enjoy it, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm going on there with a couple partners. Y'all may know Joey Kent being one, former Tennessee Titan wide receiver. Yeah. And another friend of ours he's one of the guys I mentioned when we were playing softball, kind of gave me the blueprint for education, Dr. Todd Campbell. So, we've all been friends for about 20 years and or more. And it's fun, man.
That's awesome. I'm forever grateful that we were able to line these schedules up and get you on here. Anthony, what other questions do you have?
Well, he mentioned Eddie George, and I was just going to throw back to a story of you, Shawn, chasing down Eddie George at a restaurant in Hollywood one day.
So, okay, I got to tell you the story real quick. So I used to have this Grand Am. It was some gross car that I had when I lived out in LA with Anthony. And I had Titan stickers on my back windows. Like they were like almost helmet stickers. So everyone called it the Titan Mobile. So we're at, what was the restaurant, Anthony?
Well, we were at the Do-Over.
Yeah.
And then we were going to go have dinner afterwards. And we went to Bossa Nova.
Yeah,
me, my wife, and some friends.
Yeah.
And we're waiting for a table, and this big guy comes up in shape, and I look. I'm like, oh, it's Eddie George. So Shawn's not even there.
I left. I didn't want to wait in line, so I left Bossa Nova, and then he calls me.
So I'm like, hey, like Shawn, like I'm standing right next to Eddie George. We're about to have dinner, and I've never seen a grown man turn a car around on Hollywood Boulevard, traffic on a Sunday. So quick.
Wow. I stood there and waited. I didn't want to interrupt his dinner. And I stood there and waited. And then he finished up. And then I went up to him and I was like, I have to get a picture with you. I'm like, you're one of my many Titans childhood idols. I'm like, I need a picture with you. So it was pretty awesome. That was a cool moment for me. But, and he's jacked now. He's huge.
He's still huge, man. And he's a good dude, man. Like, and he's very genuine. And I'm proud of him because he's embracing this whole coaching thing and embarking on a journey he's never done before. But one thing I know about Eddie, man, he does his research. And he's not going to do something he's not going to be successful at. He's going to go all in. And him going to be a college football coach, man, I'm proud of him taking that journey because a lot of guys would have turned it down because they were like, nah, I'm not taking that journey. Because the criticism comes with it. If he loses all his games, he don't know what he's doing. He shouldn't be there, And think about that. His legacy is solidified. Why would he take on this journey? Yep. And he said, man, my opportunity to give back and really teach kids what I've been taught, and then hopefully they learn some things along the way on the football field and off. Yep. And I was like, man, that's it. That's the reason why I did it for so long. So kudos to him. Excuse me.
That's really cool. Do you have any other questions, Anthony? Feel free to ask.
Well,
away.
I was going to transition, and we were going to go from brats and beers to cerveza and chorizo, and just do the rest of the interview in Spanish.
I won't know what you're saying, but you can.
I don't even speak Spanish either, so we're good.
Well, we did have two little games here kind of lined up. I guess we can run through them. Well, one of them's pretty easy. It's just a rapid round of questions. Like kind of either ors or like favorites. First one, beer or wine?
Ooh, now I'm a wine guy.
Okay. Red or white?
Ooh, seasonal.
Okay.
Seasonal. Right now when it's hot, I go with the white.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Brats or burgers?
Burgers.
Burgers. All right. Eddie George or Javon Curse?
Eddie George.
Music City Miracle or scoring a touchdown in the same game as your brother?
Oh, that's a tough one. Because that's pretty unique in itself. But
yeah,
man, that's tough. Because I'm gonna go Music City Miracle only because that's the one that has given me opportunities that I have. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
French fries. I can't turn them down. I can't turn them down, man. It's my vice.
Does it matter where they're from or what?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm a French fry guy. When I get to eating right, eating well. I mean, one time I'll tell you a story. One time we had some Chick-fil-A French fries, and my daughter, she was real young at the time, maybe 2, 3, and I was in my mode of not eating junk food and training and trimming down. Most athletes still had it in them for the most part. We do anyway, and she needed me to cool off. And so I was blowing on it. You pucking their lips up, and I felt that little salty, crispy goodness. I was like, and my wife was just laughing at me like, you want to eat it so bad right now. I said, yes, but I can't. But yeah, I love some French fries, brother.
That's awesome. That's too funny. What's your dream place or your favorite place to travel?
I think, man, my dream place would probably be having a lake house. I don't have one. I probably would like, a lake house seems serene and nice, overlooking some body of water. I wouldn't say beach. I think beach is more vacation for me. I think I would get old. That would get old to me. I think the lake, I can go fishing, whatever, get on the boat, chill, whatever.
All right, back to French fries. Who has the best French fries?
Ooh.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, McDonald's. Come on.
True.
But the place I go to now that they got them bottomless pit steak fries. Oh, Red Robin.
Red Robin. Okay. Oh, yes.
I eat about 4 baskets every time. Because I know I'm gonna eat that. I'm not gonna eat for like a whole day.
Yeah.
Red Robin right now is my spot because the bottomless fries, man. I just keep bringing another basket, keep it coming.
I go once a year, and it's in my birthday month because I get a free meal, and then I just have like 4 bottomless fries orders every year.
Absolutely.
Do you order the fries before you order the burger?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I said you might as well ahead and bring a basket of fries out right now. And they're like, seriously, yes. But the campfire sauce, oh, yeah, let's go.
Now, who has the worst fries, and why is it In-N-Out?
I don't know. There's some Five Guys. They can get a little greasy.
Yeah.
A little soggy. I like a little crisp to mine. I don't mind a little not softness to them, but not too greasy. I think Five Guys hasn't been my place. Like, I need to go back and get me some fries from there.
Okay.
So that's my spot.
I like it. What's your favorite Instagram or Twitter account to follow?
Ooh, man, I don't know. There's one right now. I can't remember the name of it, but he's entertaining. And I can't remember the name of it. Something One Cold something. So it's funny because he's entertaining. He posts a lot of good content. But I'd like a lot of golf training videos. So I watch Phil Mickelson, me and my golf, a couple people like that. So I'll get tips and things like that for my game, which I shouldn't do that because then you go out and try it on the golf course instead of actually practicing what they say, and your game is all jacked up. So I like stuff like that. I love stuff that's inspiring, educational, that can, help me grow. And so I look for stuff like that.
Cool.
Gold Coast, I like, so stuff like that.
Okay. Do you go out and play a lot?
Well, if you ask my wife, yeah, but me, no.
Not enough. It's never enough, right?
I get a couple times a month,
Okay.
When school ends, I'll probably get out there in some fashion, whether it be driving range or playing, probably 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite number?
1.
1? Okay. Why is that?
1 in 23.
Okay.
1 is my college number 1. My son's name is Genesis. Does that tell you anything? And it's it's the first number. It's the one everybody recognizes. Everybody knows it. And that's what you shoot for, to be the best, right? Number 1. So numero uno. And then 23, My birthday is June 23rd. Michael Jordan. It was just, 23.
It all lines up.
It all lines up.
I like it.
So with the new NFL number rules, would you have worn one as a pro?
Yep. If I wore it for 2 preseason games and had we been the Titans at that time, I'd have worn for all 4. But they, when I was an Oiler, number 1 was synonymous with Warren Moon. A couple Warren Moon fans were like, and the owner was like, he can't be wearing Warren Moon's number, So they put me in number 11 for the last 2 preseason games.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a fun question that we've asked, like all of our guests. How many Krispy Kreme donuts do you think you could eat in an hour?
Oh, in an hour?
Yeah.
If I hadn't eaten, I could put a box down there. I can put yeah. I'll make myself sick in an hour. Yeah.
I love it. We've always debated doing a little Krispy Kreme challenge for an episode one time, but we haven't worked up the courage yet to do it.
I would love to see that. That'd be interesting.
Maybe we'll have you on as a guest. You can do it with us.
Oh, I don't need to be sick like that. I'm trying to trim down. I'm trying to stay sexy in my mid-40s.
I'm trying to ruin you over here. Sorry.
Yeah, you are. Shoot, I'm trying to stay sexy.
I don't know if you guys heard this, but Chad Johnson is going to be on the undercard of the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight.
With who?
So Mike, they haven't announced his opponent yet. Yeah. But if you were to join one of these Triller YouTube sensation fights, who would you like to fight?
I'd probably go after Jake Paul too, and the reason being, I mean, think of the money that Joker's bringing in. You know what I'm saying? He's bringing a lot of money.
You can say what you want, but he is one smart guy. He was selling hats about 20 minutes after that little incident yesterday.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think that whole thing's set up. I think it's all
absolutely
fake publicity.
Absolutely.
But
clickbait.
It's all for money.
Yeah,
smart,
absolutely.
Genius. Why not?
Yep.
But Anthony, you got any other either ors or anything? Otherwise, I'll go into our last game here.
Yeah.
Is a cheesecake a cake or a pie?
It's a pie to me, but it's a pie.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're going to hop into this. One's called Class is in Session, all right?
All right.
So in honor of you having such an extensive education, we're going to take you back to school. And it's going to be kind of like almost like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader type of style. So we're going to ask you 2 questions from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And then there's a little bonus round at the end for you, all right? All right. How many syllables are in the word rhinoceros?
4.
Correct.
Am I right?
You are right. Snow, rain, and sleet are examples of what?
Precipitation.
Yes. All right. You passed 1st grade. All right.
Oh God, that's only 1st grade? That hurt me.
What are the 2nd grade? What are the 3 branches of U.S. government?
Legislature, Congress, and legislative, Congress, and I forget that 3rd one all the time. What is it?
It's executive and judicial.
Executive and judicial.
But yeah, I mean Congress is in the
Yeah.
Earth is located in what galaxy?
Milky Way.
Yes, correct. All right, you're on to 3rd grade.
God, you know what's interesting? They say you use it or you lose it. This is stuff you don't think about no more, man.
Trust me, I was looking through some of these questions. I'm like, I'm not asking them that because I don't know that. What is the capital of Florida?
It's not Tallahassee, is it?
It is Tallahassee.
Oh.
Yes. Julius Caesar was the emperor of what empire?
Roman
Empire. Look at you go. All right. You're on to 4th grade.
Oh, God.
What planet is nicknamed the Red Planet?
Mars.
And let's see here. To pass 4th grade, the Battle of Gettysburg was fought in which war?
The Civil.
Yes. You're crushing it. All right. 5th grade. Who is the creator of the classic book characters Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn?
Oh my gosh. I'm drawing a blank.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
Golly. I'm drawing the blank.
I knew you knew it. I knew you knew it. We'll give you that. What are the 3 states of matter?
Solid, liquid, gas.
Yes. All righty. So now we'll go into the bonus round here. So this one is, we're taking you to draft class. So these are all about the 1998 draft. All right.
Okay.
So with you being the first wide receiver drafted in the 1998 draft, who was the second wide receiver off the board?
Randy Moss, 21.
Yes. Name the 4 Hall of Fame players from the 1998 class.
Charles Woodson, Randy Moss, Peyton Manning, and offensive lineman. Help me with his name.
Alan
Faneca.
Yep. Anthony told me that today, and I said, who the hell is Alan Faneca? Okay, last one here for you. Then we can let you go and make you stop thinking so hard. But the players that were drafted before and after you shared the same last name. What was it?
Players that were drafted before?
Yep, there was a player directly before you and then directly after you, and they had the same exact last name.
Oh, Simmons.
Simmons.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that? Were you pretty comfortable? You seemed pretty comfortable.
Yeah, no. That was my wheelhouse. I know my draft. I played with most of those guys, obviously, in the Senior Bowl. So that was in my wheelhouse right there.
You were a Senior Bowl MVP, weren't you?
I was.
That's awesome. Congrats on that, too. So many accomplishments. I love it.
Yeah. Just
well,
fame.
What was that? I'm sorry?
Just didn't make the Hall of Fame.
Oh, maybe. You still might. I'll put my vote in for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Well, now you can add being on the Brats and Beers podcast to your resume. So feel free to shout that out anytime. No.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Tag me when y'all post stuff, man. I'll shoot it back out, man. But I appreciate it. I had a good time, man. I love what you do, man. And we do a segment called This Is That, similar to what you do. You know, I don't know if y'all listen to old hip hop, but you can get with this. So you got a little spot with that. So, man, but I love the show. Man, I appreciate having me, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. You have a great night. And, we appreciate it. And tighten up, baby.
Tighten up.
Tighten up. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.